Good afternoon and a guten Erev Shabbos on this Friday. I had every intention to come on yesterday on the Rebbe's yahrzeit, but it was a crazy day as Gurney and I prepare for camp. Today's orientation for our 40 staff members. Yesterday and the day before, 18 of the out-of-town staff members came in, and I also had to go to New York to pray at the Rebbe's gravesite on Wednesday night in honor of his yahrzeit. But I wanted to share a Dvar Torah and connect it to the Rebbe. So, the Titan submersible. Everyone is talking about that tragic news that 5 people lost their life as they were searching and exploring the Titanic. You know, the world is fixated on this. And it could yet be just because it's something that is not revealed, something that's under the sea. It's a mystery. The same thing that had these 5 people ready to pay so much money and go through so much danger to see the Titanic live. And you think about it, an average scuba diver goes 300 feet under the water. I think the record is 1,000 feet. The Empire State Building is 1,200 feet. And the Titanic is buried 12,500 feet below sea level. When you get at 3,000 feet, it's all pitch dark and freezing cold. And there's all kind of dangerous creatures that live there. When you get past 3,000, I think at 5,000 you have the great Pacific octopus that's there. But beyond that, it's all danger and all dark. Yet these people yearn to go deep down to see the remnants of the famous Titanic. And there's a few lessons that I was thinking of. The first lesson, of course, is, you know, there's so many, when I was interested in the last week, I went onto YouTube, you could see videos and pictures of the Titanic and where it rests. But why did they have to go down? Couldn't they just watch the videos and see the pictures? But the truth is that these people, they wanted to see it with their own eyes. It wasn't enough to see a picture. Their curiosity, the mystery of it, made them want to go, and their adventurous nature made them want to go down and see it with their own eyes. You know, in Judaism, many times people say, Rabbi, you know, my kids know they're Jewish. You know, my kids know if they ever want, they could come to a shul, they could watch a video, they could go online. But I always remind people that your children need to see it live. They need to witness it firsthand with their eyes. They need to see you light Shabbos candles. They need to see you make kiddush and wrap tefillin and have a Shabbos dinner. It's not enough for them to see videos and for them to see tapes and for you to teach it to them. As I always say, Judaism isn't taught, it's caught. If you have a cold, could you tell someone else to have a cold? You can't teach them to have a cold. Either you give it to them or you don't. And that's what these people were yearning. They wanted to see it firsthand. The second thing is like this. You know, we're coming from the Rebbe's yahrzeit, which was yesterday. And the Rebbe was a towering figure. And in every generation, us Jews have leaders like Moses, like King David, who are there to inspire us to get closer to God. We don't pray towards them, but they inspire us and lift us up to become closer to God. And the truth is that I never heard of a submersible till this week. I always knew about a submarine. And what's the difference between a submersible and a submarine? So today we all know, became experts. A submarine could go underwater itself, could stay there for weeks, for years. It has its own energy, it's efficient on its own. It doesn't rely on anyone else. A submersible has to be guided by another boat. And it has to be sent in by a boat and taken out by a boat. And the whole time while it's there, it's dependent on the boat. And in fact, ironically, everyone's talking about the Amazon controller that they used for this submersible. You know, Chassidus teaches us that in life, when a soul comes down from heaven to this world, it's like going mirama, from the greatest heights, lebira amikta, to the lowest pits. You imagine the drop. You talk about 15,000 feet drop. This is much more of a drop. The soul is up in heaven, in the celestial, esoteric places, and it drops down to earth. And the question is, how do we stay connected where it's cold, where it's dark, where it's dangerous? And that's why a Jew has a Rebbe. That's why we have leaders who are like those big ships that guide us and give us inspiration for what to do and where to be, to connect us to Torah and to God. That's what we say every day in our prayers, Vayaminu b'Hashem u'b'Moshe Avda, that we had faith in God and in Moses as leader because we needed leaders to direct us, to inspire us, to remind us who we are and what we have to be faithful to. Korach said in today's Torah portion, he comes to Moshe and Aaron, he says, Moses, Aaron, Madua tisnasu al kal Hashem. What do we need? Leaders like you. We all could connect to Hashem. But Korach was wrong. Because ultimately, us physical beings who live in a world that's crude, that's dark, that's materialistic, that's selfish, we need a Rebbe who guides us to be inspired and to be connected more than ever. You know, there's a famous story with the Chassid, the Rebbe Meir Premishlan. And he said that one time he lived in Russia and they would go to the mikvah, they would have to go through the snow, and there was a very steep hill and there was ice and everyone would walk around because it was dangerous. Yet, they saw him go down the steep hill and he didn't fall, and they asked him, how do you do it? And he said in Yiddish, if we're connected above, then we don't fall below. You could meet a submarine, but if you don't have a connection, if you're not guided by leaders, by a Rebbe, by a spiritual mentor, then it's a dangerous waters. And yes, Chassidus teaches us that we need to have our own inspiration. We can't only rely. Our leaders, the Rebbe was a leader who created leaders because ultimately we need to be our own leaders, but we also need the guidance that guides us and shows us the light of how we should connect deeper and more meaningfully to God and to our fellow Jews. There's something else that's very interesting and very sad and ironic. The CEO of this company, Mr. Rush, is married to a woman who was the great-great-great-grandchild of Isidore and Ida Strauss, who famously lost their life on the Titanic. Ida and Isidore were on the Titanic, and they were the co-founders of Macy's together with Isidore's brother Nathan. And when the Titanic started drowning, they offered his wife a life jacket to get onto one of the vessels for safety because they let the women and children go first. But she refused. She wanted to stay with her husband. And in fact, the last vision that someone had of them before those that survived was them sitting together on the deck of the plane, on the deck of the Titanic, holding hands. And they died together. But there's more to the story. Because Isidore had a brother, Nathan. And on the way when they were coming to America, Nathan decided to stop in Israel, which was then Palestine. And he stopped and he saw the poverty and he saw the sadness and he saw the pain and he wanted to help. And his brother Isidore kept on writing to him, we're embarking on the new Titanic with first class tickets. Come here before it's too late, before you miss the boat and you're not able to go on this remarkable journey. But Nathan couldn't pull himself away from helping his Jewish brothers and sisters. And he stayed in Israel. He missed the boat, but his life was saved. Nathan didn't die. But when Nathan realized what happened to him, how he was saved, he took it to heart. He recognized the message God was sending him and also the fact that life is so temporary, but the things we do are impactful. And he ended up staying in Palestine and investing in what later became Israel, Eretz Yisrael, God's land. And he helped build and help the poor. And in fact, the city of Netanya is named after Nathan Strauss. And the message, I think, is that Nathan Strauss knew he had a calling from Hashem. And he knew that ultimately he had to see those who needed help in Israel himself. He couldn't rely on just sending charity like his brother sent him. And this is the message that I take to heart. It's 29 years since the Rebbe's passing. And we miss the Rebbe dearly. The Rebbe had the greatest impact on my life. And when you think about all of us that are listening to this video, or any Jew the world over, they've all been impacted by the Rebbe's love and his kindness and his teaching to each one of us to remember, the potential we have, to remember who we are, and to remember the impact we could have with kindness, with love, with understanding, and with embracing every single other Jew, every human being. May Hashem give us that we should take this message to heart. And as we come into Shabbos, we should find the light of Torah and live it in real life, not in pictures and not in videos. And we should teach it to our children, which hopefully we will be doing over the next 6 weeks, to all the Kinderlach and Gan Yisrael. Have a great Shabbos. Have an awesome day.